We are all mission-driven people. Living life on purpose is something we all strive for, regardless of age. For some, their heart leads them to help others find their purpose and live their life in pursuit of achieving it. Serving others is their love, their passion, their mission. Ladies and gentlemen, Adrienne Glusman.
"2011 was the year my life was uprooted in an instant. I sat on the floor of my Brooklyn apartment, heart pounding, tears flowing, palms sweating, in a constant state of prayer, anxiously anticipating the phone call with the two words I had been hoping to hear: she's okay. A few minutes earlier, which felt like hours, I learned that my mom had passed out and fallen, alone in her home 1,000 miles away in Tampa. She was there by herself for what we think was about 12 hours before a family friend who came to join her for dinner realized what had happened. Not only had their dinner plans changed, I knew in that instant my life would never be the same. The year before, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's. While hearing this diagnosis had been scary, the reality of her first serious health incident brought on a new level of fear and uncertainty and launched me into my role as a millennial caregiver. The next 4 years were tumultuous, to say the least. My own life was not exactly where I wanted or thought it would be at that point. I'd been living independently and had been responsible for myself since graduating from college. Now, that was changing. As the favorite and only child of divorced parents, I knew caretaking would be my responsibility one day, but I always imagined it would happen later in life, when I had a partner and a family support system of my own. I had great friends, but none of them were in a similar situation and just didn't get it. Now, I felt like I was living a double life. It almost felt like a dream, this balancing act where one minute I was living it up with my friends, and the next I was doing research or making phone calls, or hardest of all, making difficult decisions for the well-being of my mom. The caregiving roles had come full circle. I was now a mother to my mom. Fast forward 5 years, I moved back to Florida after a decade living in New York City. The stress, anxiety, and fear of mom's state from day to day, coupled with her state of affairs, was no longer manageable from a distance. My mom needed me, and just like she had always been there for me, it was now time for me to be there for her. What a relief, you may be asking? Well, yes, having mom in close proximity was a game changer. I moved her into an independent living community in the fall of 2011. Not long after that, her disease progressed, and we were faced with the next stage of long-term care: assisted living. The search for an assisted living community wasn't easy, as this next phase was providing a reality check. I had trouble imagining my 74-year-old mom among 80, 90, and even 100-year-olds, all at different stages of aging. I needed to find a good balance for her, and was so blessed to finally find a good fit for mom. The care she receives is phenomenal, and it gives me true peace of mind. But peace of mind also comes with a price tag. Along with the physical, mental, and emotional strains of caregiving, the financial strain is considerable. Now, I'm fortunate that my mother planned for this possible scenario, and she is able to cover her expenses without financial support from me. I would be telling a completely different story right now should I be taxed with my mom's expenses coupled with my own. On average, millennials spend a greater share of their income, 27% on caregiving, than older caregivers, and their incomes are on average lower too. Additionally, many millennial caregivers are faced with caring for their loved ones at home, which brings increased responsibility care, and its own set of challenges. So here we are, present day, now almost 38. No significant other yet, I'll save my dating tales for another day, and no children. What has changed for me over the course of my journey? Well, caregiving nearby is a different ballgame than trying to do it from afar. While I still manage all of Mom's finances, schedule doctor and therapy appointments, liaise with her private duty aides and nurses at the community, it also comes with FaceTime, spending 3 to 4 days a week taking a part of the day to commit to Mom. I take her to specialized exercise classes at the local hospital for Parkinson's patients, for walks, AKA pushing her wheelchair, in the park, a restaurant to have a meal, or the mall, to continue to provide her with some semblance of a normal life and mother-daughter relationship. I have led the most abnormal life to date for someone my age. I've worked in 7 different career fields, eventually working as a waitress in New York, despite my college degree, because the money was good, hours were flexible, and there was never an issue when I needed to take a few weeks off to go home. About 1 in 3 millennials who are taking care of someone said they have cut back hours, lost benefits, or been fired because of caregiving demands. A standard 9 to 5 full-time job is sadly just not a reality. Earlier this year, I started an online business management company. Entrepreneurship has given me purpose and allowed me to show up for Mom in ways I was never able to before. Sometimes I think I'm crazy for trying to scale a business, date, and have a social life, all while caregiving. But I know there will be a time when Mom isn't here, and I don't want to be left with nothing. The caregiving journey is a labyrinth of unexpected twists and turns. Some days you're strong, some days you're just getting by, and others you are on the bathroom floor crying and trying just to make sense of it all. For the past 8 years, I've taken on so many responsibilities up to this point, having done so solo. I didn't know who to turn to. Since none of my friends had been in this situation yet, there was a limit to how supportive they could be. And any caregivers I knew were older and in different stages of their lives and just didn't understand the complexities of my caregiving role coupled with where I was in life. Why solo? Maybe it's because I'm a strong, independent woman and convinced myself I could not only figure everything out on my own, but also deal with the roller coaster of emotions that accompanied it. Maybe it's because I didn't realize how many other young caregivers existed. Or maybe it's because none of the medical professionals or individuals I came into contact with in setting up and maintaining my mom's care ever asked me if I was okay or told me where I could turn to for caregiving resources. As Mom continues to progress, I have joined and aligned myself with various caregiving and aging organizations such as Leading Age and Daughterhood. More than that, I have found Facebook groups where young caregivers just like me actually exist and post and reach out for a listening ear, a rant, or a recommendation. A story about my mom and I, a call to care for aging parents comes sooner now, recently ran in the Wall Street Journal. The outreach from young caregivers around the country who read the article was humbling, but at the same time made me wonder, why do we as a subset of the caregiving population not know where to turn to in our time of need? As you've heard in sharing my story, I didn't come into caregiving as a typical caregiver, and am only one example of a new generation of caregivers you all will increasingly be working with and talking to. Millennials now make up 24% of the nation's unpaid caregivers, and these numbers are expected to grow, and so too are the challenges. Caregiving is coming at a pivotal time in our lives and is derailing expected milestones like settling into a career, getting married, starting a family, and buying a house. The lack of resources and support for millennial caregivers is a huge gap. In the end, all it takes is one small action by one person, one at a time. Take a moment and think. If everyone sitting in this room could go back to their organizations and commit to bringing more awareness and attention to the needs of this new generation of caregivers, we can take a huge leap forward to ensuring their lives aren't upended without the support they truly need. We need to have these discussions now. Don't let it be a fleeting thought or inspiration. Let's expand the conversation about caregiving to include people just like me. Sometimes the things in life we can't change end up changing us. I have committed to do my part to make a difference by using my visibility and voice to share my story, to help my peers who are facing similar situations. Can I and the 10 million other millennial caregivers in our country count on you too? Thank you.